Hello everyone, welcome to the video lecture of this course finite element method. So this is the continuation of the module one dimensional problem, and this is the 8th lecture, that is the last lecture of this second module. So till now in this module one dimensional problem we have discussed the concept of the finite element modeling, then the concept of the discretization, what is the meaning of this discretization, why is it important in this finite element method, then the numbering of the nodes, how it is properly done. That theory part we have discussed. After that we have discussed the concept of the shape function and the stiffness matrix, and based on this terminology, that is shape function and stiffness matrix, we have discussed their derivation and the different formula related to this terminology. Next, we have discussed different numericals based on the finite element equation and how to find the nodal displacement, then the strain energy, then different reaction forces, stress, strain, all these things we have discussed. Next, we have considered some temperature effect, and considering that temperature effect, we have discussed different numericals where we have found the thermal stress for this one-dimensional bar element. So today in this lecture we will discuss the finite element equation for the spring element. Okay, and based on the formula and this concept we will discuss some numerical. After that we will see the stiffness matrix and the shape function concept for the heat conduction element. Okay, so let us start this lecture. So first we will discuss the finite element equation for the spring element. So we can see in this diagram a spring element is shown. So let us consider a spring element which is having nodes 1 and 2 as per the diagram. Let k is the spring constant and L is the length of the spring, which you can see in the given diagram. So F1 and F2, these are the nodal forces which are acting at node 1 and 2 respectively. And U1 and U2, these are the nodal displacements at these respective nodes. Now, the sign convention for the nodal forces and equilibrium, you can write F1 equals to minus T1 and F2 equals to T2, where T is the tensile force. Again, we know that the tensile force formula T equals to K into delta U, where K is the spring constant whose unit is Newton per meter, and delta U, this is the change in deformation, which is in meter. So that means F1 equals to minus K delta U, which is K into U2 minus U1. So that means F1 can be written as K into U1 minus U2, which is our equation number 2.76. Next, F2 can be represented as K delta U. So that means F2 equals to K into U2 minus U1. Now if we write these two different equations 2.76 and 2.77 in the matrix form, then we can write as the force vector and the column matrix of F1 F2. This is equals to a symmetric matrix of K, which is K, then minus K, then minus K and K. This is a symmetric matrix multiplied by a column matrix of the nodal displacements, which are U1 and U2. So that means finally, as a equation number 2.78, we are getting the finite element equation for the spring element. So this is the derivation of the finite element equation considering this spring element, which is given in the diagram, where we can see that we are having two different nodes 1 and 2, and corresponding to that F1 and F2, these are the nodal forces, and U1 and U2, these are the nodal displacements. Now let us discuss one numerical based on the concept of this spring element. So what this question says, a spring assemblage with arbitrarily numbered nodes are shown in the figure. Now in this figure 1 we can see that spring assemblage and the different elements 1, 2 and 3 here. Now the nodes 1 and 2, these are fixed, and a force of 500 kilonewton is applied at node 4 in the x direction. Now we need to calculate the global stiffness matrix, nodal displacements and reactions at each nodal point. So this is the question given here for the spring assemblage with arbitrarily numbered nodes. We need to calculate global stiffness matrix, the nodal displacements for 4 different nodes and the reactions at each nodal points. So we need to consider the spring constant K1 100 kilonewton per meter, K2 is 200 kilonewton per meter and K3 is 300 kilonewton per meter. Now in this diagram the value of F4 is given 500 kilonewton. So let us start the procedure to solve this numerical. So as we have discussed in the earlier slide, while we have discussed the derivation for the finite element equation of spring element, there we have seen that the finite element equation for the spring element, it is expressed like this equation number 2.78, which is the force vector of F1 and F2. This is equals to K multiplied by a symmetric matrix of 1 minus 1 minus 1 1 multiplied by a nodal displacement matrix of column matrix of U1 and U2. Now if we write this finite element equation for the spring element, that is for the element 1. Now in this diagram we can see corresponding to the element 1 we are having the nodes 1 and 3. So that means the finite element equation can be written as K1 multiplied by the symmetric matrix multiplied by the nodal displacements U1 and U3. So this is equals to the force vector of F1 and F3. So that means after 2 steps we will be getting the equation number 1, which is the finite element equation for the spring element 1 considering its corresponding nodes 1 and 3. Now in this similar manner we need to form the finite element equation for the other elements also. Next, for the element 2, if we go back to the diagram, we can see corresponding to the element 2 we are having the nodes 3 and 4. So that means if we write the finite element equation for this element 2, we need to consider the nodes 3 and 4. So that means the nodal displacements will be U3 and U4, and the forces acting here in this element 2, it will be F3 and F4. So that means finally we will be getting the equation number 2. Next, for element 3, if we write this finite element equation, now if we go back to the earlier diagram, we can see that corresponding to element 3 we are having the nodes 4 and 2. So that means if we write the finite element equation for the element 3, then the nodal displacements corresponding to the element 3, it will be U4 and U2, and the forces will be F4 and F2. So that means finally we will get the finite element equation as equation number 3 corresponding to the element 3. Now if we assemble these equations 1, 2 and 3, then we will be getting a 4 by 4 equation as the stiffness matrix multiplied by a column matrix of u1, u2, u3 and u4. So this is equals to the global force vector of F1, F2, F3, F4. So this is our equation number 4. Next, if we apply the boundary conditions here, then from the diagram we can see that at node 1 the displacement u1 this is equals to 0, and at node 2 the displacement u2 this is equals to 0, and the nodal forces F1, F2 and F3 these are 0, and the value of the nodal force F4 this is given 500 kilonewton. Now if we put all the values of this nodal displacement and the forces, nodal forces, then we are getting this representation here. But instead of u1 and u2 we have written 0, and instead of f1, f2, f3 we have put 0, and instead of f4 we have written 500, which is given in the numerical. Now in this equation, or the above matrix equation, the u1 is 0, so that means we can neglect the first row and first column of the stiffness matrix K. Next we are getting that u2 is 0, that is the nodal displacement at point 2, node 2 it is 0, so that means we can again neglect the second row and second column of the K matrix. So that means the equation is reduced like this: the 2 by 2 matrix multiplied by u2, u3 and u4, that column matrix, this is equals to multiplied by a column matrix of 0 and 500. So this is the reduced matrix form. Now from this part, if we do the matrix multiplication, then we are getting the equation number 5 and 6. So from this equation number 5 and 6 we can easily solve, and we can easily find the value of the u4, which we are getting as u4 equals to 1.364 meter. Next, if we put the value of u4 in any of the earlier equation 5 and 6, so in that case we will be able to find the value of u3, that is the nodal displacement corresponding to node 3, which we are getting as 0.9091 meter. So this is the procedure based on which we have found the value of the nodal displacement and stiffness matrix here. Next, we need to find the reaction force, and the equation or the mathematical representation of the reaction force, this is equals to the column matrix of R, this is equals to the spring stiffness matrix multiplied by the nodal displacement matrix minus the force vector matrix. So here all the values of this K, U and F, these are actually known to us, so we can put these values here. So after that we need to perform the matrix multiplication and the subtraction here. So finally, after several steps, we will be getting the value of the reactions here. So that means we are getting the value of R1, this is minus 90.91 kilonewton, R2 is minus 409.20 kilonewton, R3 is 0 and R4 is also 0. Now we need to verify the result of these reaction forces with the applied force. So the concept for the verification or the validation of our result, it is the reaction force is equivalent and opposite to the applied force. So that means if we sum of the values of the reaction forces, then we are getting that R1 plus R2 plus R3 plus R4, this is equals to minus 500 kilonewton. Now in the question actually we have seen that the value of the applied force, it was plus 500 kilonewton. So that means the applied force, it is equal and opposite to the it is equivalent and opposite to the reaction force. So that means our result is verified the whole spring assemblage which is in equilibrium. And finally we need to write the necessary result. So first we have found the value of the spring stiffness matrix, which is a 4 by 4 matrix. Next we have calculated the values of the nodal displacements for the 4 different nodes. That means u1 is 0, u2 is 0, then the u3 is 0.9091 meter and u4 is 1.364 meter. Lastly we have computed the value of the reaction forces corresponding to the 4 different nodes, and we have got that R1 is minus 90.91 kilonewton, R2 is minus 409.20 kilonewton, R3 is 0 and R4 is also 0. So this is the process based on which we have calculated the value of the stiffness matrix, then the nodal displacement and the reaction forces for the given spring element. Now if we go back to the earlier slide where we have seen the diagram of this spring assemblage. So what we have done to solve this numerical? Actually in the derivation we have seen the equation for the finite element for spring element. So that concept we have applied here. So to get the global stiffness matrix we have started from the equation, that is finite element equation for the spring element. So this equation, finite element equation for the spring element, we have applied here for the 3 different nodes, and for these 3 different nodes we are having 4 different elements. For these 3 different elements actually we are having their corresponding 4 different nodes. So for these 3 different elements, one by one we have applied this finite element equation. So and after that we have assembled this equation. From that we have found the 4 by 4 stiffness matrix, and in this 4 by 4 stiffness matrix we have applied the boundary condition where we have seen the value of the nodal displacements and the force applied forces. So from that we have found the value of the all the nodal displacements and the force vectors. So after calculating the nodal displacements and the forces, we have computed the value of the reaction forces, and for that we have used this formula of the reaction force, which is R equals to K into U minus F. All are having the matrix form. So here we have done the matrix multiplication, and after several steps we have found the value of the 4 different reaction forces. Finally we have done the verification or the validation part. That means we need to use the concept that is the reaction forces are equivalent and opposite to the applied force. So after doing this part, after performing this calculation, we have seen that the final summation of the reaction forces, these are actually equal and opposite to the applied force. So that means our result is verified. So let us move to the next page where we will discuss a derivation of temperature function T and shape function N for one-dimensional heat conduction element. Here in this diagram we can see a bar element is given, and in this bar element is having 2 different nodes, 1 and 2. And this T1 and T2, these are the temperatures at the respective nodes. So that means here T1 and T2, these are actually considered as degrees of freedom of this bar element. Now, since the element, that means this bar element, it is having 2 degrees of freedom, so it will have 2 generalized coordinates. So that means you can write T equals to A0 plus A1x, where A0 and A1, these are global or generalized coordinates. So this is our equation number 2.121. Now if we write this equation in matrix form, then we can write T equals to a row matrix of 1x multiplied by a column matrix of A0, A1. So this is the metric concept. So it is familiar to us. So this is actually the matrix form of the equation. So this is our equation 2.122. Now if we put the boundary condition, then from the diagram, earlier diagram, we can see that at node 1 and node 2 we are having the temperatures T1 and T2. So that means we can write the boundary condition as T equals to T1 when x equals to 0 and T equals to T2 when x equals to L. So these are the two boundary conditions actually. If we put the boundary conditions in the earlier equation 2.121, that means in this equation T equals to A0 plus A1x, here we need to put the boundary condition corresponding to node 1 and node 2. So that means after putting the first boundary condition, we are getting T1 equals to A0 and T2 equals to A0 plus A1L. So these are the two different equations we are getting now. So if we assemble these two equations in the matrix form, then you can write that in the left hand side of the equation we will have a column matrix of T1 and T2. So this is equal to a 2 by 2 matrix, which is 1 0 1 L multiplied by a column matrix of A0 and A1. So that means A0 A1 its column matrix is equals to a 2 by 2 matrix inverse multiplied by a column matrix of T1 T2. So if we perform the matrix inverse here, then this is actually the concept of the matrix inverse. So this is familiar to us. So after performing the matrix inverse, we will get the equation of A0 A1 its column matrix is equals to 1 by L, and L 0 minus 1 1 is 2 by 2 matrix multiplied by a column matrix of T1 T2. If we put this value of this A0 A1 its column matrix in this earlier equation, that is 2.122, it is the first equation in this page, then we are getting this equation, that is row matrix of 1 minus x multiplied by 1 by L multiplied by L naught minus 1 1, this 2 by 2 matrix multiplied by a column matrix of T1 T2. After that we need to perform some matrix operation, matrix multiplication actually. So after performing this matrix operation, we are getting the equation for T, this is equals to L minus x by L to x by L, its row matrix multiplied by column matrix of T1 T2. So T equals to a row matrix of N1 N2 multiplied by a column matrix of T1 T2. So this is actually the temperature function, which is T equals to N1 T1 plus N2 T2, where this N1 and N2, these are actually the shape functions, and the value of the N1 and N2, this shape function, this is equals to N1 is L minus X by L and N2 equals to X by L. So this is the concept of finding the temperature function in terms of the shape function in case of the one-dimensional heat conduction element. Next, we will discuss the derivation of stiffness matrix for one-dimensional heat conduction element. The concept of the stiffness matrix is familiar to us, and based on the mathematical representation of the stiffness matrix, we have also solved and calculated some numerical for this one-dimensional bar element. Now, in this lecture, we will discuss the derivation of the stiffness matrix for one-dimensional heat conduction element. Now, in this diagram on the figure 2.35, we can see a one-dimensional bar element which is having its nodes 1 and 2. Now, let T1 and T2 be the temperatures at the respective nodes and K be the thermal conductivity of the material. So the concept of thermal conductivity is already known to us. We have studied this concept in heat transfer subject. So there, corresponding to the module conduction, we have studied one rate equation, which is Fourier's law of heat conduction, and there we have got the concept of the thermal conductivity. Now in this diagram for this one-dimensional bar element, the formula of the stiffness matrix K, this is equals to integration of volume, the B matrix transpose multiplied by D matrix multiplied by B matrix dV. So this is the mathematical representation of the stiffness matrix K. Now in one-dimensional element, the temperature function in terms of the shape function we have discussed just now, that is T equals to N1 T1 plus N2 T2, where we have seen that N1 this is equals to L minus X by L and N2 this is X by L. Earlier we have seen the formula of the strain displacement matrix, that B this is equals to rho matrix of dN1 dx and dN2 dx. So that means if we perform the differentiation of N1 and N2 with respect to x, then we are getting the B matrix, this is minus 1 by L is a rho matrix. So that means B transpose will be a column matrix because B is a rho matrix. So B transpose, this is minus 1 by L and 1 by L, this column matrix. Now in case of any one-dimensional heat conduction problem, the D matrix, this is K matrix, this is equals to small k, this is, which is the thermal conductivity of the material. If we substitute the B matrix, then B is transpose and the D matrix, which is actually K. If we substitute these three matrices values in the stiffness matrix operation, in the case of the stiffness matrix equation, we can write that the stiffness matrix for heat conduction is Kc. This is equals to integration 0 to L. First we will write the B transpose matrix multiplied by K and multiplied by the B matrix and dV. Now here we can perform the matrix multiplication for the column and row matrix, and that means we are getting a 2 by 2 matrix here inside the integration. So integration 0 to L, a 2 by 2 matrix into K dV. So this is the stiffness matrix for heat conduction. After that, instead of dV we can write A into dx. So next we need to perform the integration, that is integration 0 to L dx, and finally after several steps we are getting the Kc matrix as AK by L multiplied by a symmetric matrix of 1 minus 1 minus 1 1, which is equation number 2.129. Now in this matrix, A is area of the element, which is m square, K is the thermal conductivity of the element, which is watt per meter Kelvin, and L is the length of the element, which is in meter. So these are the topics that we have discussed in this lecture. First we have discussed the finite element equation for the spring element, and based on that concept we have discussed one numerical for the spring element. There we have found the displacements, the reaction forces, and the spring and the stiffness matrix for that spring element. Next we have discussed the temperature function in terms of the shape function for the one-dimensional heat conduction element, and lastly we have found the stiffness matrix equation for the one-dimensional heat conduction element. So this is the end of this lecture.